So Paris Hilton is in the middle of a full-blown celebrity meltdown right now. And if you've been anywhere near social media, you already know why. The newly unsealed Epstein-related emails, yes, those emails, are exploding all over the internet. And this includes unseen footage from Epstein's island, featuring none other than Paris herself.
The media was so cruel to me. Hurt and mortified.
This is freaking because these claims are coming from authentic sources.
I said, oh my God, who's that? And my friend said, yeah, she's called Paris Hilton. And Ghislaine said, oh, God, she'd be perfect for Jeffrey. Could you introduce us?
And now the public conversation is on fire. People are convinced they've finally gotten the proof they've been whispering about for years. Paris wasn't just some sparkly eye candy floating around the fringes of these disturbed high society parties. She was one of the party favors. One of the girls allegedly handpicked, groomed, and pushed into that world. And right now, Paris is furious. She's shutting down the rumors. She's denying everything. She's making statements. She's pushing back hard. But the internet isn't having it. Not when the rumors about her and Epstein have literally existed since the early 2000s. And that's where this whole mess gets even worse. Because the public isn't pulling these theories out of thin air. They're stitching together old interviews, resurfaced photos, and insider claims into one giant scandal tapestry. First up, Paris's dad, Rick Hilton. Online discussions always circle back to him, and not without reason. Multiple public accusers over the years, including Virginia Giuffre, have claimed that Rick Hilton himself attended certain Epstein parties. Some have even alleged he was serviced there. So naturally, people online ask, if Rick was that plugged into Epstein's social circle, how far did those connections go? And then there's the infamous New York Fashion Week story that keeps resurfacing online. According to insider accounts discussed in documentaries and interviews, Ghislaine Maxwell supposedly spotted a young Paris at an event and saw her as perfect for Jeffrey. That one quote, whether it's exaggerated, misremembered, or exactly true, gets repeated across forums like gospel. But here's the plot twist. Paris recently told the London Times that she doesn't even remember meeting Ghislaine. And instantly, users online went ballistic. Because there are photos, widely circulated, showing Paris and Ghislaine smiling together like old friends. People look at those photos and go, girl, what do you mean you don't remember her? But even that sparked debate, because fans, and even psychologists on commentary channels, pointed out that Paris was deep into the hardcore party scene at the time. She has openly spoken about substances, blackouts, chaos, and the absolute haze she lived in during her early Hollywood years. So now there's this split. Some think she's lying. Others think it's completely possible she literally does not remember half the people she partied with. But whether she remembers or not, the internet isn't letting go. Because Ghislaine is only part one of this jigsaw. The other part, the part that really ramped up public suspicion, is Paris's connection to Rachel Chandler, another figure heavily discussed in relation to Epstein's circle. Chandler has been named in countless theories, rumors, and speculative breakdown videos as someone who allegedly procured girls. She also had ties to MC2 model management, which has long been the center of conspiratorial speculation. And guess who she was photographed with? Paris. So first it's Ghislaine, then it's Rachel. And that is when the internet decided 1 is coincidence, 2 is a pattern. And trust me, the investigations did not stop there. Because the next is where everything starts to feel far more coordinated, far more interconnected, and far harder for the public to brush off as coincidence. Once people began pulling archived photos, old interviews, industry timelines, and Maxwell's now confirmed behavior into the picture, the entire story surrounding Paris shifted. It stopped being about rumor and became something more like a pattern people could see forming right in front of their eyes. And nothing fueled that fire more than the photo, the now iconic photo from the Anne and John fashion show in September 2000, the one with Paris Hilton, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Donald Trump standing casually in the same frame, has resurfaced online more times than anyone can count. People saw it before, shrugged, scrolled past it, but now in the aftermath of Maxwell's conviction and the avalanche of revelations surrounding Epstein's trafficking network, that single snapshot suddenly feels heavier. It hits differently. Because when you look at it with today's eyes, knowing Maxwell was actively scouting girls at high-profile events, knowing Epstein's recruitment methods relied heavily on the fashion world, knowing that a documentary later claimed Maxwell tried to zero in on Paris, and knowing Paris herself publicly said she doesn't even remember ever meeting Maxwell. The image transforms from an innocent moment frozen in time into a piece of a much larger, much darker puzzle the public is desperate to solve. And it didn't stop there, because it raised a question. Was Paris involved in anything illegal? Because the internet isn't looking for charges. It's looking at the environment. And here's the part that's impossible to ignore. Ghislaine Maxwell has been legally proven to have recruited girls at events just like the ones Paris attended. Fashion shows, clubs, after-parties, modeling events. Her conviction laid out the blueprint. And when people online compare that blueprint to Paris's early social scene, the overlap makes them uneasy. Then came the resurfaced clips of Paris discussing her own past, publicly acknowledging that she spent those years spiraling through parties, substances, and emotional chaos. Clips where she admits that period of her life was a blur, where entire nights, sometimes entire weeks, disappeared into haze. For many, that created two competing interpretations. One group said, she genuinely doesn't remember Maxwell. It was all too chaotic, and she was too young. The other group whispered, she's distancing herself because remembering would open doors she doesn't want opened. Two interpretations, one woman, and millions of viewers were glued. But then the conversation took another turn, one Paris never saw coming, because this isn't just about Maxwell or Chandler or any other single person. It's about the ecosystem, the behind-the-scenes pipeline the public didn't understand back then. But now, with new information coming out year after year, it is beginning to piece together. People didn't grasp how interconnected the fashion world, nightlife scene, and high society elites truly were, not until Epstein's case cracked everything open. And as more documents get unsealed, more testimony gets revisited, more old footage gets examined, the public keeps circling back to the same question. How many young women move through that world without ever realizing the dangers around them? And Paris Hilton became a focal point of that question. Not because she was proven to be part of anything criminal, but because she was there. She was inside the spaces where powerful people made decisions no one knew about at the time. She was surrounded by individuals who are now confirmed to have been involved in predatory networks. She was part of an era that has only now revealed its darkest corners. And that's the chapter the internet refuses to close. Because once they see a pattern, they keep digging. And once they start digging, they don't stop. And the newly unsealed documents surrounding the Epstein case, they reignite a massive wave of attention on everyone who moved through the same social circles Epstein exploited. And Paris, with her high visibility, her fame, her proximity to powerful worlds, got thrown right back into the vortex, whether she liked it or not. And the internet started asking the question no one asked back then: what was actually happening to the young women in those spaces? Because once Maxwell was convicted, once Brunel died in custody, once Epstein's network was exposed for what it truly was, and then people remembered something Paris had shared, not recently, but years ago. She spoke openly about being emotionally broken by that era, about substance abuse, about insomnia, about feeling objectified, hollowed out, stripped of control, and suddenly social media turned its attention not to what Paris did, but to what might have been done to her. That's when the tone of the discussion shifted. It stopped being about accusations. It started being about trauma, about that time in her life when she said she didn't care about intimacy, when she said she was scared of anything sensual, when she admitted she was so overwhelmed that her mental and emotional world felt like it was collapsing in on itself. But then came the backlash. Some insisted the photo was proof she did meet Maxwell. And for Paris, that door, the one she's tried to close for decades, has been forced open again. Paris Hilton is once again standing in the shadow cast by one of the darkest scandals of the century. And that's the part she can't escape. And that's where we'll leave it for now. Do you believe Paris was truly connected to Epstein's circle? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading all of them. If you want updates, make sure you hit that like button, smash subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next breakdown.